is the squeeze is on, right? It's funny you mentioned that. I'm not, we've been doing this for a while, right? And so we know like a lot of times there is a rally and then there's an end to the rally and there's some signs every now and again. Mm-hmm. And when you mentioned those names, I felt like yesterday I saw a couple of them. It hasn't been a whole lot, but I saw a couple of them. And we do know that typically, like you said, when the shit codes start moving or those become the story, the end of the rally might be nearby.
Yeah.
I do wonder about that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But I mean, that being said, let's move to the first slide. Look, it's been the big stuff. Let's not get it twisted. I mean, it's been, just recently, like I felt like a week and like 10 days ago, let's just say, I felt like NVIDIA was so quiet, hasn't moved, really hasn't done much of anything, really been no vol. And then bam, big move the other day. So it's been like some of those have obviously like tech has come back. And that's largely what's pushed us to all-time highs. And I remember like talking with people, 2 months ago or whatever, when we were in April, is it going to be the tech names? Is the whole tech thing done? Is AI kind of slowed down? Is it going to be the tech names that brings us back? And that ended up being, I feel like, kind of the case more recently. Tech is kind of what's brought us back, believe it or not. So, as a matter of fact, I got a slide on that in a little bit for the Mag 7 names. But it's interesting. We're at all-time highs. Huge rally that we've had going back from April. And like you said, more recently, we've seen the market kind of getting dragged along, if you will, kind of melting up. But let's not forget, crude oil declined 16% from the beginning of the week because we were just like at the throes of possible war with, Iran and Israel and tensions, et cetera. Crude oil was the main thing that was moving, and that was your proxy for everything that was going on. As soon as crude oil started pulling back, we started seeing markets retrace themselves higher. Mm-hmm. Treasuries, 10 years and 30-year treasuries are up for the third consecutive week. Tariffs have kind of died down. We haven't heard much about it. The biggest thing we've been waiting on is July 9th, right? But there was a headline even yesterday that said, well, July 9th might not matter, so who the heck knows what we're really going to get with
They
that.
went both ways on that headline. It was pretty funny. It was like, oh, yeah, it very clearly is going to be extended. I mean, I think that's about a given. I think the market is telling you that, too.
It does feel like that, right? I do wonder, though, even if it's not like we're not going to have an April again, right? I mean, right?
I don't think so. My question is, how does it all get swept under the rug? Because that's the next. We've had 2 or 3 extensions. I think this is 3, right? And the China one is like separate. There've been all sorts of. It's got to get at some point. We got to kind of get the Men in Black like pen, and we could just like shine it on everybody's TV and just like erase that from our memory. I think that's the next event.
I could use that because there's just way too many storylines that it's we're 6 months in, man, and look at like this thing about all the storylines this year has had so far.
We got 3.5 more years. This is gonna be strap in,
wild
boys.
ride.
I know. God, it's probably never been harder to sift through news, especially for people who just started trading in the last year. So it's probably got to be crazy. Dollars experienced the worst start to a year ever at the lowest level since 2022. You've seen all the other currencies on the run. I actually have no specific dollar trade. I got some metals trades. Obviously, that's some type of dollar play. I've heard you guys talk about tastyfx often. I have 2 plays on tastyfx, obviously just very, very small, but they are essentially short dollar. What about you guys?
I'm on the other side, but it's been a painful trade. I watch the dollar go down every single day. I'm like, there's got to be, and I feel like it's so consensus.
When does it end?
That the dollar's going down. I feel like there's a
I think commitment of traders report says commitment of traders report is showing that like record short dollar. So trust me, it's interesting to me to obviously take the other side, but I think it's almost like the 10 and the 2s trade, 2s and 10s. It's like that. It's so deep, it's so liquid. It's hard to get on the other side of that thing. I need to see some progress going the other way before I can get long the dollar.
Yeah, that was a fun year-long, how long can we stay inverted on the yield curve? And, it went for over a year, I think. We were inverted on that. We had that position on, and it never worked.
Yeah, we were like, oh, this will be done in no time. And then 1 year later,
it's still the same. So that's how I feel with my long dollar plays. Like, at some point, like it's not going to zero, right?
Well, the nice thing about the TastyFX is you can get so small that you can just throw on tranches. So like I have 3 different positions. I'm losing in all 3 because I've just somehow managed to do that. Short the Aussie dollar, long the dollar franc, long the dollar shekel. But I'm just throwing on more tranches. 0.02, 0.02 here, 0.02 there, 0.02 here. So at least we can do that. Dollar cost average on the downside.
It's never good when you say it's not going to zero, right?
You hope not.
And the other thing about both of those trades.
I'm going to find out. That's for sure.
Yeah. The other thing about both those trades, whether it's long dollar or like the reverse of the 210 spread, it's like going to Tibet and like climbing a mountain. You know what I mean? Like eventually you're wearing the big parka, you're wearing like, the whole full beard before it actually ends up reversing. It's one of those type of trades. VIX and VVIX have collapsed to 4-month and 1-month lows respectively. Wall of worry appears to be non-existent, man. It's a trip.
Zero vol. No vol.
Heading into a holiday on top of all of that.
Yeah.
Let's move to the next slide. That's the thing though, like VIX is what? I don't know where it is today, but it's
1624. The lows.
So we're not in the 15, 14 VIX environment at the very least. Like things are moving around. That's kind of nice. Vol is low, but interesting divergence in the Magnificent 7. You got the Magnificent 3 versus the mediocre 4. Meta, Microsoft, and Nvidia looking good. There's your S&P 500. I mean, this is as of yesterday. It's probably changed a tiny bit. Amazon, Google, Tesla, and Apple not so well. What do you make of this?
Amazon caught up a little bit this morning. It's up like $3 or $4 pre-market, but yeah, I mean, it's another thing where like being long dollar, we've been playing for this catch-up trade in Apple specifically, Google a little bit as well. Not as much in Tesla, but you think that there's a catch-up trade there, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I think, there's rotations in and out of these things. So I'm looking to get long Apple and Google.
Yeah.
They both have earnings coming up in the next month or so. So, yeah, I think it's an opportunity. Sure.
Yeah, it does appear like it. Let's move to the next slide. Obviously, Apple, I mean, the biggest thing weighing it down is whether or not, there's no way they're going to move business to the U.S. I mean, not anytime soon, but that's obviously been one of the things that's weighed it down. And then Tesla, I mean, things, I don't know, it came into the week with a big move, right? But things kind of reversed a little bit.
Yeah.
This idea of Fed rate cuts, they've been gaining momentum more recently, especially it seems like that happens when markets start moving higher, like, oh, we're going to get a rate cut. Everything seems to be fine. I mean, obviously inflation is in and jobs reports have been good. So here's the Fed funds forward curve. And you can see obviously June and July, obviously where we are 4.25 to 4.5. But September, I think, is the key. Obviously, we got a meeting in July. Nobody's expecting any change, but September is where everybody's kind of expecting a rate cut. And when you look all the way out to December, effective rate of 3.7 which essentially is pricing in 75 basis points of cuts. So, this is obviously something that's on the docket at some point in time too. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen.
Yeah, 80% chance we get 2 or 3 cuts this year based on the current probability. So. They can only push for so long. It seems inevitable.
Yeah, I suppose so. Who knows if it ends up being 25, 3 different tranches of 25, or if we get a big jumbo. I don't know. Who knows, man? Mm-hmm. Who knows? Let's move to the next slide. Big changes over the past year in different commodities here, a little divergence chart. So coffee and gold are at the top there. You can get some gold flakes in your coffee if you want, maybe. Lumber also up there. Natty gas. I just put on a natty gas trade myself. I haven't been in natty gas in quite a while, but sold a put spread recently, 10 cents wide. Hogs are up there. Silver obviously has been doing the do. Silver and gold, by the way, pulling back today. I'm not sure if this is. Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. We'll see what that means.
2% in gold. Gold's down $75. Silver down a little over 2% as well, 75 cents.
Of course, it does try to do that now that I decided to get a little long, but
So the gold silver ratio has come back into normal-ish range here. And this move will help as well.
I'm short some copper against it. As long as copper's moving down, that's good too. I was a little worried that actually when I looked at this chart yesterday, I was a little worried like, oh, copper's only up 9.9%. That could easily sort of try to play catch up. We'll see though. So there's your CPI 2.4%. On the other end, obviously it's been crude, and if you had been earlier in this week, the crude would have been obviously down as much. But of course, with the big move that we've had this week, crude is still kind of ugly here.
Yeah, chopping around. I'm looking for a price extreme below 60. Okay. And then I'll just buy a micro contract. But yeah, the gold move is interesting. I will try and throw on a diagonal spread here, like something like long September, short August at the 300, 310 if they open at 300. Because yeah, I like to play these big moves to the downside.
Absolutely epic vol crush in oil, back to basically where it was pre 12-day war.
Yeah, big time.
Crazy.
Let's move to the last slide. Like I said, Tesla rolled out that driverless taxi service over the weekend. I guess they did it for like some retail traders and a few influencers, obviously, to get the word out there. He talked about Hem's big move to start the week. Both them and Novo Nordisk were down. They just had made that partnership. Novo was trying to get the drug out to multiple telehealth companies and did not like the way that Hims was doing some compounding with some of its other drugs as well. There was an interesting deal discussed over the weekend between Bank of New York Mellon and Northern Trust. That would be something else if they actually do it. I had to look it up. At first, I was like, I actually thought Northern Trust was bigger, but it is not. Bank of New York Mellon would be the acquirer if it does go down. And matter of fact, the stocks traded that way on Monday. Like Northern Trust was up, Bank of New York Mellon was down. We got the end of the quarter coming up on Monday. I think you just have to attribute a little bit of some of these moves to that. I'd be interested to see if we don't fade a little bit to start July. Non-farm payrolls coming up on Thursday. A little funky week next week, right? I think we got a half day in there. Obviously, we got on Thursday, I think, I would assume. Friday, full day, of course, for Independence Day. And research for the week. Market measure, the hidden costs of low delta trading. Check it out.
Yeah, that was a really good segment that we did.